Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome from cloudy, a little bit sunny Berlin. Another great session, VOPS 2020. My name is Daniel Stecher. I'm your host today, Vice President Airline Operations from IBS Software. And it's a big pleasure that I could win one of the most known experts in fatigue risk management for a session about predictive and proactive fatigue risk management in commercial aviation. Before we start the presentation of Suresh Rangan, I'm suggesting that we start a short introduction round, and I'm also giving you some background information about the concept and the format of the session, because we are running since end of March already virtual happy hour sessions on a regular plan, and we are only inviting a certain amount of attendees to have enough face time and speak time for every attendee. And you are also free to ask during the entire session any question you like to have answered from Suresh or the other people here in the call. And that shall foster the interactivity amongst all attendees, and also that everybody can engage with his own expertise and know-how. So now, starting with the introduction, ladies first, I suggest, Sapna, you start with yourself.
Thanks, Daniel. Hello, everybody. I'm Sapna. I'm consultant for the Airline Operations Suite of Product. Have been with IBS since 2005. Was a great journey ever since. FRM ever since I've met Suresh, it's been one of my most favorite topics, and it's always exciting to listen what he has to say. So really looking forward. Thank you.
Let's go to Sweden, to Martin.
Hello everybody. My name is Martin Hoffman. I work with SES, Scandinavian Airlines, out of Stockholm, Sweden. I'm responsible for crew systems and analytics in SES, and I've been with SES for almost 23 years. So I think I'll turn off my camera. Maybe this works better now, but you can hear me. So yeah, I've been in operations most of the time for the last 10 years, working with crew systems and crew planning mainly. I was previously responsible for crew planning in SES.
Let's move on to South Africa. MG.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is MG. I'm currently independent contractor to Merlot. I've been involved with multiple airlines on the crewing side, and I am currently more on the account management and commercial side of aviation software. I'm happy to meet all of you.
Let's move to Canada. Mohamed, if you'd like to introduce yourself, please.
Let me get this on here. Hi guys, Mohamed Rashid. I'm a captain on the Airbus with Air Canada, and also the Toronto and Winnipeg Flight Safety Chair, and a working member of our Fatigue Safety Action Group that's working currently on the new regs coming in Toronto right now, or in Canada.
Mortaza, if you want to introduce yourself, please.
Hi, good morning, everyone, from Toronto, Canada. Also, my name is Murtaz Mohammed Bai. I'm the Flight Safety Manager at Air Canada Pilots Association, and I know Suresh very well, and we're currently partnering with FedEx and AlertSafe to get the product into property. So, and I'm also part of the Fatigue Safety Action Group at Air Canada Pilots Association and Air Canada. Welcome.
Awesome. Let's go to Michael.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, or wherever all of you are. My name is Michael Kalisa, Quality Manager, Uganda Airlines. We are currently implementing fatigue risk management procedures and processes as a requirement of our recently released regulations. So I'm here to learn and see how the rest of the industry is doing this. Thank you.
Perfect. So then, no, we have Captain Hamdan from Malaysia joining.
Hello, hi. Good evening here actually. I'm done from Malaysia Airlines. Yeah, this is chat times for the sessions.
Yes.
Okay, over to
So,
you then.
we can hear you, Captain Hamdan. Yes. Now we can see you, Eve. Very good.
All right. How are you? How's everything?
So far, so good. Let's see. I hope nobody is suffering lockdown fatigue. But on the other hand, we have Suresh, who has maybe a solution in order to mitigate also the effects of lockdown fatigue. Yeah, Suresh, the stage is yours. It's a big pleasure to have you with us, and we are all very eager to get to know more insights about fatigue risk management in commercial aviation.
Thanks, Daniel, and thank you all. Except for Murtaza and Daniel and the other one, Sapna, Chris. A lot of new faces, so let's see how this goes. I'm going to take you towards the journey of what FedEx has done so far and how we have progressed in the world of fatigue risk management, and I'll be happy to take any questions and be happy to help you as an airline, right? So let me see if I can throw this slide. We live in Memphis, as you all know, and I'm head of operational performance solutions group within Flight Ops. So this group manages all the fatigue risk management and all the products that we are trying to bring it to the marketplace for airlines to use it. And also I head the data analytics vertical for the Flight Ops group in FedEx. So with that, let's see if we can share the screen. So are you guys seeing my screen?
Not yet.
Okay, let's see. Seeing it now?
Yeah.
Yes, Suresh, that's fine.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So we're going to go through this, what the FRMS program at FedEx, and then some of the processes that we have created here, a little bit unique, but I think that naturally it can adhere to your settings also. And also, I'm going to talk about COVID has created a lot of opportunities to continuously improve. But we're going to, give something what happened on our end and what we have improved, and then what is the road ahead for us in terms of products, partnership, and then questions. So feel free to stop me anytime. It's in a very small group, and we can make it very interactive. So we don't have to wait till the end of the slide and then
maybe
take
Suresh,
questions.
you minimize the small video from me because we see always my video now also in the screen. Very good. Thank you.
All right, a little bit about FedEx. Some of you already know about it. We have 5,000 plus pilots. A little bit different from other airlines now. We are continuing to hire the number of pilots. It's growing. We have 6 different worldwide crew bases. 3 of them are in the continuous US, which is Indy, Memphis, and LA. We have 1 in Anchorage, and then 2 international bases, 1 in Cologne, and then the other one is in Hong Kong, which takes care of the Southeast Asian hub. It's about 20,000 flights a month. It's not a whole lot, but the complexity you will see is pretty complex network from a crew perspective. About 425,000 worldwide team members try to deliver the package on time every day. 675 total aircrafts for us. So from the global network, I want to spend a little bit of time here because this is all going to lean towards why we had to do what we did. If you see the domestic US, it's pretty going to all 200 destinations in the US there. You could see some of the flight hubs there. But also you could see the Guangzhou hub actually manages the Southeast Asian network. But the base is in, the crew base is in Hong Kong, and though the hub, the sorting hub is in Guangzhou, China. Then you have the Cologne hub here. Again, this hub, the sorting hub is in Paris, but for varied reasons, we had to keep the crew base in Cologne, Germany. Daniel might be happy about it. And that's the network. So that's how the global network for FedEx, and you see a lot of this international flying that's happening from one base to another base, and within the international, within the network as well in the region. We call it as an intra-theater and the inter-theater flying. I wanted to give a little, because most of you are passenger carrier, I want to give a little bit of, how FedEx is little unique compared to the passengers. So if you have a passenger carrier, when they're flying international, they will go to a destination and then come back, right? So they do that same thing with from wherever they go. FedEx on the other side, here is a flight that's starting from, it's a real routing, starting from Anchorage to Narita, then Narita to Taipei, Hicks, and then they bounce around here in this region for 6, 8, 10 days, and then finally they will fly back. So this may not be the actual flight plan, but just the type of routing. So that's again a complexity. They're flying to a region, and then they're completely turning their body clock to a domestic system there, whichever the theater they are in, and then they fly back. Similarly, they can fly Memphis to Anchorage, Anchorage to Hong Kong somewhere, and then come to Paris, and then fly to Memphis back. So this routing, they can go as quick as 5 days to as long as 15 days. So going around the world in both directions. I only showed you once. So this actually takes a lot of circadian disruptions depending on how quickly how rapidly they transition from one time zone to another time zone. So we got it all. So if you are looking at the most quintessential airline to look at from a fatigue risk management perspective, we have it all. So the need to drive towards a much more robust risk management was there. So and I'm going to show you some slides later how we evolved from the 80s. To where we are. And then this is a chart that I tried to put it for myself, and now a little bit became more popular in the risk management. The scientific advisors for FedEx really like this, because what it tells you is every single thread that you see there goes from the base, which is it starts at 0. And then a number of duty periods that they go from left to right. This particular chart has as many as 12 duty periods. But you could see that take one thread, for example, here, this yellow thread. So this pilot went eastward to a region, and then they go around the world, right? So they went east around the world, and then. Oh no, this is westward going around the world, and if they go on and this is side, they've completed the 24 time zone transitions, and then they're here, they came back to Memphis or whichever base they started. The other side, they can also go bounce around here in this region, like time zone of 13 hours, and then they finally come back. So each one of them is part of the named 11 pairing solution. but you could see like how much variability they have on pairing design. And this is again like few years back. Now this whole fish chart would be completely different. But that's the variability and complexity that we have on our end with all this desynchronization that's the effect. So I mean, that's one of the reasons why a regulatory rule is not going to really protect us from all the possible scenarios, right? So I mean, regulation cannot address to the needs of what we are seeing in this chart. So we had to take it further and then have our own controls to manage it effectively, and that's what started this slide. If you see, you know, we came up with a strategy. How do we start managing this complex operations, and more than managing, we wanted to start adopting science and then make it more evidence-based operations, right? So that's where we were leaning towards. So the strategy was, you know, this started about 2009. We wanted to develop the next generation risk prediction models, and FedEx, I will show you later that FedEx is the only airline which has built its own biomathematical model. And so the way we wanted to do that is we wanted to use a realistic and validated data, you know, better science that actually applies more to the airline operations. So, and also we wanted to value, a lot of value comes from crew experience. So our model, we wanted to lean towards, you know, how can we learn from the crew, and so that when you predict something, it is more applicable and more realistic, right? So the other one is we wanted to develop some cutting edge tools and integrate those findings to build some of these fatigue programs that we have built. And then obviously we wanted to, you know, evolve ourselves as a world leader in fatigue risk management, and also share the tools for other airlines, so that, you know, safety is a shared responsibility. That is one other reason why we are in the business of even, you know, letting the other airlines to, if they wanted to use the products, they can use. So that's the you know, philosophical side of why the strategy that we built for fatigue risk management. The effects that we have got so far is we have actually adopted or built rules based on which has FRMS language in it, and which is something that that I think a little bit unique for, and I'm sure, like, you know, as more contracts getting revisited, there are going to be more and more fatigue risk management languages that's going to come in place. But a lot of them came from the actual findings and actual work and what we learned, and then scientific advices that we got based on our learning and the research. Is all defined to our contractual rules. So we are getting into more of instead of more being like a prescriptive rule, we are leaning toward more like a performance-based rule. What you learned is what becomes a rule. And then obviously, you know, we spent a lot of time. I mean, you saw the chart, and we have a pretty strong domestic night system. So there's a lot of mitigations that we added in the system is all because of what we learned through this process. And I'll talk a little bit about the wake up call program and sleep rooms later. But those are some of the mitigations that we have really used based on what we learned. And then obviously, you know, being part of the IATA task force and A4A in the US task force, we try to share what we have learned to others and see if they can also embrace those processes and tools.
I have a question to the other people here in the call from the other
I'll
airlines.
stop here. And, yeah.
So if you're now seeing what FedEx is doing, what is Malaysia Airlines or Uganda Airlines at the moment doing in terms of creating a strategy and also manage the risk of the pilots for the airline? Can you maybe share some of your engagements you did in the past so far? Maybe Captain Hamdan, maybe you're starting from Malaysia Airlines perspective, please.
I think in Malaysia, I think most of the airline in the world flying for nowadays is very few. So fatigue, I think, in terms of fatigue, what I call it, among the flying crew currently is very low risk, as I say, because long haul flight actually is very minimum. Most of the patterns that we have now, more or less, is only domestic. This is a short flights, and there is no issues of what I call it, the circadian problem we get among I think the pilot in the Malaysia Airlines. What do we have? I think in the Malaysia Airlines, more or less, is basically a prescriptive what I call it, prescriptive TL, which is based, I think, it's ICAO regulations. Not much of the FRMS that we implementing in Malaysia Airlines. However, because of the restrictions of the overnight at stations such as like China and the rest of the world, we do adjust a little bit of our flight crew patterns, and together with our regulator, we have discussions of more or less to have extensions a little bit of our FTP. In this case, what we do during the discussions is we gather the informations more or less from all the crew with regard to their experience on certain flights, and we do have what I call it, tricks that we develop in-house, more or less to determine whether actually such mechanism is workable or not. And I think that's about it with what's happening within the Malaysia Airlines for the time being.
Thank you. Michael, from Uganda Airlines perspective.
Okay. So far, we are still in a startup phase, so most of our flights are really short. So we've not yet reached the instance where we have issues related to fatigue. However, there is a rollout plan in light of the anticipated resumption of flights, and some of us have foreseen a situation where we are going to be, our pilots are going to be faced with a longer flying hours. So we are amending our procedures and processes to satisfy and address all these risks. So right now, as we are not affected, but in the near future, towards maybe next 6 months to 1 year, it will be a totally different picture. So we are just following traditional models of managing fatigue of the crew.
Yeah, so can I just wanted to, so both Malaysian and Michael. So one thing that I think you guys wanted to think about is fatigue. Not necessarily has to be something on long range flying, right? So if you see at FedEx, with all this international flying that we are doing, most of our fatigue calls still happens in the domestic circuit, and the reason is because of they're swapping the clock from day to night and night to day, revisions, going from a longer layover to shorter layovers, and the early starts. I know Air Canada has some very interesting early starts rule. So think about don't get into the mode that okay, fatigue can only happen in this long range flying. It came into the surface because of the ULR operations, 16 hours plus, But fatigue is could be in any flight, and it could be even in a 1 hour flight. It depends on what you did before, or the 96 hours or 120 hours footprint. What you did before it could likely be the cause of fatigue that happens on this one flight. A lot of times we look at it, this is just a 1 hour flight. Why are they calling in fatigue? So when you do a deep analysis on and what they did in the last 7 days footprint, then okay, yeah, it makes sense, because he was constantly disrupted and the sleep was, cumulatively there is an effect of sleep and fatigue. So think along that line. I saw from Malaysian and then mentioned about the flying is not. I mean, yeah, with all this COVID stuff, most of us are having a very limited flying. But probably this is an opportunity to think through. Okay, think along the line what has happened before COVID, all the flying. So is there something that we could learn? So be prepared. And then be prepared when the flying comes back, then you can start embracing some of these principles. So that's my thought there. If you have any questions, I will be able to take that.
Yeah, maybe Martin, how are you tackling fatigue risk management in Sweden?
Yes, I can just mention a little bit. We have this reporting system that we get from all our pilots on different routes. At the moment, there are of course not a limited number of pilots because our operations are very limited at the moment. But we also have this advisory group together with our. Now I get an echo somewhere. So
it's probably me. Hang on.
Yes, and we have this advisory group together with our unions and our chief pilots for all different aircraft types, and we go through all the pairings for every month, and also using the Boeing alertness model to see what we can, which pairings we need to change and update based on all the information we can get. And then also we have a very cooperation together with flight operations and all the chief pilots around how we make the pairings and improve the pairings, and as mentioned, based on input from all the pilots. And we have had a system for a number of years, and I would say that we are still we can still improve it because we're still fixing some of the pairings already quite late in the process. But I would say that it's a fairly mature work that we are doing in fatigue risk management.
Martin, how many pairings you run in a month, Martin?
At the moment, not so much, but usually it's around, if you just look at 737s, I would say it's let's say it's 1,000 maybe or something like that. I don't have the exact number, but I'm just trying to think the number of pairings. So around that, I would say.
Do you also run the rosters through the BAM?
Yes, we do that, and we have a limit of I think it's 1,500 is the maximum limit that we are allowing the pairings on, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, and then you do you also retrospectively look at after they have flown the pairings?
Yes, and that's on these we have for all aircraft types we have this follow up, and also it's a flight or fatigue advisory group that we have every month for each aircraft type, and then we follow up the previous month and also forward looking to the next month, and also the pairings going forward. So it's really all those both looking forward and based on the actual pairings we have, and based on the reports, of course.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Martin.
MG, you have a question. You are muted.
Thanks. First one's a statement, and the second one, two is questions to the people that's on here today. It is firstly, for me, when we do FRMS, it's not only looking at one pairing, it's looking at a group of pairings and how they fit together, right? And I have noticed that a lot of people look at, okay, let's look at the ultra long haul, just as you said, Suresh. How is this fatiguing? But when I was with Qatar Airways, our pairing that was causing the most fatigue was a 4-sector of 1 hour, 1.5 hour sectors. So that was just a statement I wanted to make. And then I wanted to know from the rest of the group, is everybody here is talking about monthly planning, FRMS management, but what of day of ops? Are you guys doing day of ops, managing of FRMS? Have your problem detection engine or telling you that somebody is reaching a buffer or is reaching their limit? Do you review that? So are you only using it as a monthly manual tool, or are you actually using it on a daily or bi-daily way of ensuring that you don't have people calling in that they're tired and sick and therefore having problems with your operations? Thank you.
Very good questions. I like them very much. Now I'm very keen to hear the answers.
Yeah, so that's yeah, I think very interesting. That's how we mature the program, right? So yeah, everybody, most of us who actually do some kind of a biomathematical model analysis, we start with the planning world, and then we run all our pairings and all our rosters, and then we pretty much let it go right through the day of ops. And then some of them, with my experience and what I've learned, some of them actually do some kind of a retrospective analysis of how the month has operated. So they go and look back and learn, okay, you know what, this pairing, this roster, when I gave the roster to this particular pilot, it was at score 6 out of 10, and then it degraded to 3 out of 10. After he is done. So what are the changes that happened? Did he put himself into the situation? Did the company put himself in the situation? Is there any trend that we are seeing, systemic trend? So can we learn? And then you go back and then try to address that as part of the, again, for the next month, you be prepared, right? So that was a very traditional thing. And then you also learn from all the fatigue reports, whether the pilots, because pilots' input is very important and crucial to this whole process. So you try to get reports and then do the systematic analysis of fatigue, whether fatigue was present, and then you do all the modeling for every report that came through the system, and then you learn from that. So what we are doing, that's something that I'm going to show you in a few slides, is how this COVID has exposed the process that we, with all the challenging schedules and changes, revisions, everything was happening in the day of ops. It exposed some of this process, for us, and so we have tightened that area and then built some tools that will help us on the day of ops. And so I'll get into that a little bit later after we go around. But that's a very good question. That's more than a question. The thought process that you have is aligning you for a very towards a very good and matured risk management system. I really like the way you're thinking.
Sapna, you were raising your hand earlier.
Yes, because MG had covered that point. But another question I had, Suresh. So it's related to what Martin was covering earlier. That he was running his rosters through a fatigue process. But I've also heard another school of thought where it's run only after the rostering process or after the pairing process. What's your opinion here? You're an expert in this area and might have seen multiple airlines working different models. And what's the right school of thought? Is there an opinion that you have over that?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I was planning to cover this a little later, but I think it's the right time. So even though FedEx, we have our own biomathematical model, but we don't trust 100% our own model, right? Because models are not in this is again, if you really ask a scientist, they are going to agree with me. Is it's not in a mature state where we can take a Boolean decision, yes or no for any type of pairing design, right? So you need to bring this operational experience into the equation before we can either say yes or no to a particular design, right? Otherwise, you're going to spend unnecessary costs if you're completely trusting the model and making pairing design changes. So that's where the bigger part of operational experience, and that's why we have SAG and everything exists, because to feed in that operational experience and bring a balance to your decision making. So I think when if I'm reading your question right, so you said do we need to do the fatigue process check before the roster is done and after the roster is done? Is that right, Sapna?
Because what I understood from Martin is it's kind of incorporated into the rostering process.
Yeah. That's what I said. Okay. So there's two things, right? So one, exactly for that reason, what I mentioned earlier. So we are not in a state as where we can take a Boolean decision on it. If you are thinking about a system, when you are giving an optimizer a target value that I have to make all my fatigue scores at, let's say, 7 out of 10, it's going to put all the pairings around that region. So in one, it's going to give very less operational flexibility, because anything that happens in operations, that's going to bring that number down, because operationally you're going to have challenges revising. You're going to expect that number to go down depending on how you fix it, repair the trip. So now, so my thought on that is, you run your pairing with all your controls or your rules in place, and then do a fatigue check after the fact, and then see how the score goes, because its model is going to directionally tell you that this is a low hanging fruit that you can fix. Because some of them you don't know full answer yet. So those things you can take a deeper dive and run it through the operations for collecting data. That's why we still collect data. I mean, we've been collecting data for quite a number of years now. This is all like real sleep and fatigue data that we collect in the field. So those answers have to be there before we go and fix a pairing. So because it's still fatigue model wholly depends on how the sleep is predicted, right? So on sleep prediction varies, right? Depending on how we make our assumptions on sleep prediction, it varies a lot. So if the sleep is not predicted right, then fatigue is not going to be predicted right. So you're going to fix a pairing based on some false sleep assumptions that the model made. And then again, I'm trying to reiterate that in spite of us having our own model, it's it's at 80 90% accuracy of sleep, but still we don't completely trust it. We let it come through the review check process. So we have a human element involved in it, that the experience is being shared, and then we try to go and make a decision. If we don't have an answer, then we go and really collect data on it. It could be objective data that you have them wear actigraphy and collect data so that we have an answer. Or it could be subjective data that you can run a survey, you can run there's other methods that you could do to collect some subjective data to influence a decision.
I suggest we continue with your presentation, Suresh, please.
Okay, perfect. All right, so see here. So the next one is, this is journey. I'll quickly go through just one place you could see here at 2009. That's where we started scripting our model at FedEx. And then over a period of time, it has also gone through its maturity state. But you could see that we started this diurnal clock in our system back in 1985. The time of day report limits that what the current regulations is having. We started way back in 1985, and we started having sleep facilities for the night duties because we saw the need for it right back in 80s. But what I'm trying to tell you here, it's an evolutionary process. We don't go and then okay, now I have the silver bullet and go from now I'm matured and I'm not going to go through any phase of evolution. Like similar to any safety management process, it is a continuous cycle that you try to take one small step at a time and try to mature.
Maybe you reduce again the small video.
Say that again.
Maybe you reduce again the small video you have there on the screen. Yeah, bottom right, because I see myself.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought, okay, thank you. So what this mentions, one of the things that we saw is that we knew that we were doing something right, because otherwise, all the safety records that we have clearly said that we were doing something right, but we couldn't quantify it. We couldn't make it as an evidence, right? So that's where this whole journey from 2008, where we created this group, where we wanted to convert that experience-based journey to an evidence-based journey. So we started putting science to it and validating what we have done is right, and is there any room for improvement? Can we add more process? So you could see a lot more squares came out after the 2009 settings, where we added a number of programs. The one thing that I would like to mention here is this wake-up call program that we have. Our pilots go through the SOT during the night. They come from an outstation. They get the packages go through the SOT. While the packages are going through the SOT, pilots go and take a nap in their sleep rooms. So in Memphis, we have about 250 sleep rooms. It's a mini hotel that we run. They go and take a nap. Why it is so important? So that time of the day, having that nap actually improves their shift in circadian when they do it repeatedly night overnight. So all these are a very beneficial factor. But what we didn't know is at that point of time, pilots are still responsible for reporting for the flight after the nap, right? So so we did a random data collection to understand something else. It was not for for this program. We were doing some data collection, human performance data collection, where we were tying the actigraphs to the pilots. And what we found from that data is you could see irrespective of the outbound departure, the pilots are all waking at the same time. And then we ran a study and how do they, what is the process and how do they wake up at the same time. They say I put 3 or 4 alarm clocks to make sure that I don't miss a flight. So there is an anxiety within the pilots that actually was driving, and obviously when you have anxiety, you don't sleep well. If you know that you want to take an international flight at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm sure that previous night you will have a disturbed sleep. You will be waking up 3 or 4 times, making sure that your alarm is working or not, right? So you don't trust that machine, alarm machine. So we thought it's so simple. I mean, after we saw it and then we did a analysis and find out, in a given month, we could have taken advantage of about 5,000 to 6,000 hours of sleep that the pilot misses out, because outbound delay is now 15 minutes more than the scheduled, right? Now, the pilot could have technically slept 15 minutes more. We let him sleep, right? So now we worked with our ops control group and made them and got their help to commit to putting their outbound times so that and then we have an automated wake up call program that the pilot can subscribe to it. So when the outbound delay happens, the wake up call program automatically delays their alarm clock to their which goes to their individual room. And also we have a backup mechanism that if they miss out an alarm or if they don't acknowledge the alarm, then we can have somebody really walk down that room and then wake them up. So the anxiety is taken away from the pilot. So that was a huge win, and it got some of the pilots came to me and then they were emotional about it, because it actually made a whole lot of difference for a very little investment that the company had made. So sometimes the what you get to what you invest, it doesn't translate. It can be completely. So in this case, we had definitely a clear win on a FRM practice. So I just wanted to mention that some of and then as you see, like we continue to expand our program. For us, our philosophy is very simple for my group. Every like in the fuel world, every drop counts, right? So you want to save every single drop of fuel. So in our world, every minute counts. We try to take advantage. If I can put a pilot to sleep and in every single minute, then I will go after it. So that's the foundational philosophy that I have for my group. That we go and look for opportunities because those things are sometimes very less investment, but what you get back is huge from the risk management. Again, this is a great group. We see in a lot of different people across the world, and that is very important. I think